Ready to write off Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was ready a couple weeks ago, and listen, Wildes, what was my New Year's resolution last year?
Last year was be less humble.
Be less humble.
And you nailed it.
I nailed it. And you know what? I did so well. Even though it's this year, I'm going to extend it by a day. I told you so. Classic category 1.
Classic.
Instantly correct. Brou was talking, all right, in these next 3 games, Giants, Cardinals, Giants, I want 3 wins, 2 blowouts. Instead, he got 1 nail-biter and a loss, and you're the 5 seed. And so, can we show the Eagles' defensive numbers? The Eagles' defense is what you pretend the Chiefs' offense is. Just irredeemably awful, as opposed to slightly above average and not what we're used to. Just actually terrible across the board. And shocker, the Matt Patricia brain trust is not going to fix it.
That's not his
fault.
fault.
So, listen, here's what we're all here for. And, Coach, it's great to see you, and I'm sorry to not go to you, but everyone's waiting to hear. Chris Broussard, for a month, has wanted to abandon his Super Bowl pick, which is not Baltimore, contrary to what you might believe.
Philly over Baltimore.
Philly to win. Brou,
That's not going to happen, dude.
are you still believing in your Eagles?
Nick was clearly sitting there looking at me in that robe going, I can't wait till the beat.
Yes, I wanted to lead the show with this.
Well, look, you guys have pushed me the last several weeks to abandon them, and I will not defend the Eagles.
Oh!
And
I legit got back there.
this is the day, guys, that I am indeed changing my pick.
There it is!
What a day,
finally!
Instead of Philadelphia beating Baltimore to win the Super Bowl, I now have Baltimore winning the Super Bowl.
Against who,
That's
Brou?
my change.
Against who?
Well, here's the thing.
You're...
I am willing to go down with this ship. All right,
No,
because
stop
look,
it.
it makes no sense. Dallas, I got questions. They're not good
They're
on
the
the road.
5 seed
They're
now.
not good on the road. Detroit, the Rams,
Dallas
they're
ain't
not
gonna have
good
to go
enough.
on the road.
San Francisco, I'm not going to sit here and join the obvious bandwagon. Oh, let me pick the Niners now that they look better than everybody. And I'm going to look, I'm so disgruntled, Coach, with the Eagles. And Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff and the play, I'm so upset.
Yeah.
And I usually save the grading system. See,
There
what
you
is
go.
this?
It's a tomato can
The rules
with
are you can't
defense
have
on
a
it.
winning record to be a tomato can.
Okay.
But I usually save the grades for the Cowboys.
Yes.
But, Coach, the Eagles were so bad, not only this weekend, but the last month.
Wow.
That I have to give them a grade. I don't discriminate. I have to give them a grade. I would do it to the Cowboys. Eagles, you brought your F game basically since Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You have brought your F
Seen
game.
this one coming.
But I am going to trust
Believe they're going to make
in
the Super
Jalen
Bowl.
Hurts and Jason Kelsey's leadership and character.
Okay.
And I am going to, Coach, they did beat Kansas City, Buffalo, Dallas,
once,
Tampa Bay, the Rams, Miami, not that long ago. And this is what I'm trusting.
last year.
The old puncher's chance. I know I need a miracle. I know I need a miracle.
that's not
but I'm not
cogent
abandoning
analysis.
them. I'm just saying.
Go
Well,
ahead,
you
Coach.
kind of been.
Yeah.
They're not giving me much to work
You
with.
kind of changed your pick in week 18, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the Nick Sirianni. Hey, we got to stick together. We got to stick together. We have to stick together. But I'm going to fire the defensive coordinator.
Not even fire. Just like humiliate,
I'm going
demote.
to reassign the defensive coordinator. You know, after 2 losses when they're 10-3, and so you make that decision. And I think he's a pretty well-liked guy in the locker room. And I think there's a lot of people who look at that and say, okay, well, if we're sticking together, why aren't we all sticking together? And you play that card, and he played that card, and you expect there to be some adrenaline, some change, and you don't get it. And it's demoralizing the locker room when that happens.
I was going to say, they're not only have problems, seriously, on the field, but they look dispirited.
Yeah.
They looks like spiritually they're not. Is that what you think it is? Because it looks like something's wrong behind the scenes.
It's hard to preach continuity. It's hard to preach we're going to work through our problems and all those things when you make a change like that. And look, it's his prerogative. But when you make that change and then it has no effect, and you could argue it may have had a negative effect, then the rest of the group is looking around and saying, none of this makes sense.
At least they won their Super Bowl, though.
Which was what?
In Arrowhead.
Kansas City?
Yeah, they won their Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
Brou, what grade are you giving the Cowboys for this?
Look,
I don't even know what this was.
I do think they were fortunate
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm with everybody else that thinks the league screwed this up. All right. But we've seen it happen, you know, bad calls against the Chiefs or non-calls. And other teams, even Cowboys had some of these. So I won't focus on that. CD had a great game. Dak was solid. Nick, the thing that really bothered me was the clock management. And we've talked about that since I've been on this show with Mike McCarthy, since he's been in Dallas.
Can I turn this over so people don't think
it won't be an F? Yes, you can take that one.
I don't want you to get aggregated as you gave him an F.
It won't be an F.
Yeah.
But that last drive, or second to last drive, technically, they threw 3 passes. They got the ball with 2 minutes left at the Detroit 29 or near the red zone, and threw 3 passes that took off 11 seconds of the playing clock. So they gave Detroit plenty of time, 1:41, to come down and score. That could come back to bite them. So those things combined, look, at the end of the day, they had to get the win. It was a good team. They had to get off the losing streak, and obviously they needed it for the division. So at the end of the day, get the W. So I gave them a B-.
No.
Why?
No.
What, Wildes?
You're a tough grader. A B-?
They won. They needed a win. That's all that matters.
You're not a tough grader, though. You thought that was a B- game?
What was it? It was Detroit. Detroit's a good team.
D-.
I thought that's
you got to get the win. That's all that matters. It was ugly, but get the win.
Yeah, I thought the Cowboys were going to be like all my New Year's Eves, where I'm excited, and then at the end I'm disappointed. But they weren't. You know, at the end of the game, they found a way to win. So this is 16 straight. It's 8-0 at home. First time in, 43 years they've been 8-0 at home. They've got a chance to win the division. It wasn't perfect, but you're playing another division champion. So you have to give him credit for that. CeeDee Lamb is a star and was a star in a big game.
True.
He broke multiple records. So I think the B- is actually pretty harsh. I think it should more like a B+ type game. Nobody likes to see the defense get marched down on late in the game, but this is a tough team at a tough part of the season, and they found a way to win.
It was ugly. It was at times disorganized. You can argue at the end it was lucky, and none of it matters. Right. They're the 2 seed now. It's not even the W. It's the 2 seed. It's now. The playoffs will go through Dallas until either the Super Bowl or an NFC Championship game where, you know what, you get to try to smite your dragon. That you get to try to beat the team that has beaten you each time. And instead of being on the road against the frisky bake show, you're going to be at home against maybe Geno or Jordan Love in round 1 most likely. And then in round 2, maybe you're playing this exact same team. Maybe if this team loses in round 2, you're playing the Eagles, who are falling apart, or maybe you're playing Baker. Listen, the McCarthy clock management stuff will be the death of me as someone who has been on his head on that for a decade, then picked him to make the Super Bowl, and I'm watching it at the end of the games, and I want to jump off.
And you know what's going to happen.
No, absolutely. But I also root for a team that his head coach was also terrible at clock management the entirety of his career, now has 2 Super Bowls. So it's not that you can't overcome it. But this was ugly, a little lucky, and none of it matters. Okay. The fact that the Dallas now is the 2 seed, it's the most consequential thing that happened this weekend. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.